Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Vern and Jack. Welcome to our weekly episode of Chokes and Eye Pokes. We'll be reviewing the latest in mixed martial arts, particularly the UFC. Particularly UFC 297 went down this past weekend, Toronto, Canada. Before we get to that, Jack, how you doing? How's it going that side?
Yeah, good. It's quite hot here, but yeah, it's great after this weekend. I think the vibe, especially in Pretoria, is quite unbelievable. Everyone's been talking about the main event. I suppose we'll get to the review, but yeah, what a weekend. And you, how are you doing?
Yeah, definitely. Good, man. Couple of hot days. Been high 30s, pushing 40s, 46 and a half in my wife's car the other day. So,
Hectic.
which is probably like a 40 outside, because it like builds in the car. But hopefully soon we will get some cooler weather because this is a little bit too much. But to your point, I believe Dricus is landing at the airport on Thursday, which would be tomorrow. Unconfirmed, but about 7:25 in the morning. So hopefully he'll get his homecoming that we've been pushing for, and a lot of people have been pushing for.
Yeah.
I saw pictures on Tuesday of Cameron and a few of the CRT people greeting Coach Mornefisser and Mark Hume and them. So that was quite cool as well. But it was an interesting pay-per-view. UFC 297. I'm just pulling up the main card here. I'm gonna pop it up on screen. Abysmal for us that were doing the predictions.
And
The only one we got right was Dricus.
yeah, literally. And also
It was worth it though.
it was absolutely. But also what a stinger for Canada. I think they had eight fighters, and I think two
Seven.
of them won. Yeah.
Yeah. No, are you sure? I saw something that said they were 0-7.
No, they there was two fighters. It was Gillian Robertson and Jasmine. I don't know how to pronounce that surname.
Juza Davies. Juza Davies, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's also quite interesting because on the main card, every single fighter that was booed the week leading up to it, and then like on the walkouts in the night, all won.
Yeah.
They booed Evloev or kind of because of Allen. Allen's like the Canadian Michael Chandler in terms of like trying to G up the crowd and be like this patriot and hero and whatever. And then Chris Curtis got booed as well. Neil Magny got booed because he was against Mike Malott. Raquel Pennington, okay, they were kind of, I don't know, the crowd was kind of neutral towards that fight before and in the fight. And then obviously Dricus got booed because Strickland was sort of a bit of a hero to everybody. But okay, let's just get straight into the results. I think so. Movsar Evloev beat Arnold Allen, unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28. Pretty much fair result. I think Allen looked like he was more interested in dancing than actually fighting, to me, to be honest, because he kept just kind of like hopping around and trying to stay at distance, and then when he wanted to start finally try to do something in the final round, it was too little too late. Controversial moment as well with was his hand down, wasn't it down?
Yeah.
But yeah, Allen, I don't know, it's a bit of a shocking performance by him. Evloev, take nothing away from him, but for me, Allen just wanted to dance around.
I don't know. I saw the fight differently. I think it definitely wasn't that entertaining. But I do think if we're talking about any robberies in the card, I think that was a robbery. Personally, like
You think so?
yeah, I don't think those strikes should have been counted as illegal. I mean, there was no point deduction, but like the momentum that Allen lost there, I think that he could have been able to finish the fight, just by virtue of
Possibly.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm still such an Allen fan. Every time I see him in the embeddeds, I'm like, yo, this is a cool dude. He clearly works very hard. I hope that he bounces back. But yeah, not to take anything away from Evloev. He's also, he does seem like he deserves a place certainly in the top 10. Certainly.
I don't know. Allen, I wasn't impressed by Allen's performance, to be honest with you. I was just waiting for him to like engage, because he was, Evloev was doing a good job of maybe staggering him, but like he didn't look like he was trying to go out there and put a definitive stamp, especially after his loss to Holloway.
Yeah.
So I also don't think it was enough of a like definitive that Allen was actually going to win had he continued. I don't know if Evloev was in enough trouble. I think half of the reason why Evloev was down is because he was trying to get it to be, striking a downed opponent. But yeah, I don't know. It was a pretty lukewarm beginning to the card. But anyway, we both got that one wrong. Allen now
Yeah.
drops to 19-3, 2-fight losing streak. Evloev is 18-0, called for a top 10. I think they should give it to him. I think they should give him whoever in that top 10 that's, for anywhere from 4 to 10, they should give it to him.
Yeah, I agree. But he also called for he said the winner of Alex versus Ilya, which I think
Yeah, Taporia,
I think that's quite far fetched as well. Especially
I think so.
it's like you go from 9, you beat number 4, and that was still quite razor close. Honestly, split decision. So like I think that's quite a tall ask.
It was a unanimous decision, 29-28.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking about
Yeah.
Chris.
No, unanimous across the board. I think he only lost. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the stats here. Total strikes 72,
Yeah.
51% accuracy for Evloev to 61, which is a 43 accuracy for Arnold Allen. 0 takedowns versus 5. Evloev went for a lot of takedowns, 1 submission attempt. Significant strikes in favor of Arnold Allen, but not all significant strikes are equal.
Yeah.
59, 51, and 0 knockdowns each. So I think pretty deserved win. Just looking at the fight, forgetting the stats, I think a deserved win for Evloev. So anyway, we both got that one wrong. Bit of a lukewarm start. The second one as well, like, I don't know. You're fighting in a home crowd, Barriault and Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis taking it by a split decision. Probably fair, but I think if you look at it, 30-27, 28-29, and 30-27 is odd.
Yeah.
Like the judging lately, we've been saying has been super odd, but like seeing it completely differently. How do you even have a 30-27s and a 28-29 loss for somebody? But anyway, stats on this one: total strikes 144 to 124, no takedowns, no submission attempts, no reversals. Significant strikes 140 to Curtis versus 122 to Barriault. This as well, both fighters looked, I don't know, timid until the last little while when they wanted to have a bit of an exchange. But
Yeah.
again, another sort of lukewarm fight to me.
Yeah, I do agree. I guess that they were both quite. They gave each other a lot of respect, but I felt the same. Like up until that phone booth boxing at the very end, it was quite timid. I would.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were both like at the end of the second that it really could have gone either way. I think that it was really, really razor close. So they're probably just trying to prove some sort of point or make some case to win. I was actually I did score that first 2 rounds. I would have given to Barriault, to be honest, in the third to Curtis. But yeah, super close fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the judges have such a vast difference.
Yeah.
You know, you got 2-1. I probably also had a 2-1 to Barriault if I had to pick somebody, but honestly, I mean, it was so uneventful that I would have just made it 10-10 rounds all round because I'm sorry, it was boring.
Yeah.
This is the first card, so my wife actually even got up. I mean, the whole of South Africa watched this card, and my wife got up with me to watch this card. It's the first card she's ever watched, the UFC card. And I actually felt like embarrassed to show her this card,
Yeah.
just because of how uneventful it was. And look, I don't take away from the craft, and even Curtis was asking, why are you booing? But I think you have an opportunity. I mean, Chris Curtis was win, lose, so I can understand maybe he didn't want to take too many risks and get knocked out or anything like that. But Barriault had 2 wins before this, and he's got so much cardio that he usually uses and tries to push, but it just, like, both guys were so timid, way too timid. And again, another boring fight, lukewarm. The less said about this, the better. But we have to cover it. Yeah, we got that one wrong. So we're both 0-2. Chris Curtis wins. He once he has talk of going higher and fighting people high up the card, which is smart to do, but yeah, not after that performance. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Mm. All right. Then we had the record holder most decisions. So just off that, Barriault drops to 16-7. Chris Curtis goes to 31-10-1. The next fight that we had, Neil Magny actually didn't win by decision. He won by TKO towards the end. It was sort of last minute, but you could see that Malott was a bit tired towards the end there. You could see him fading quite a bit.
Yeah.
Neil Magny ends up getting the win, as we said, by TKO. What did you make of this fight?
Yeah, I think Malott was very smart with his game plan. I think that he must have built it around Ian Gary, investing in those leg kicks early. Towards the end, I think it was just he didn't have the gas tank. Yeah, and then when he got mounted, it was just like, easy pickings for Neil. Also interesting, this was his first KO win since 2018, which is also quite interesting to me. Yeah.
Malott, I think you're right. Malott was Malott. Yeah, I don't know. They had a good game plan, but you perfectly summarized it. Ran out of gas towards the end, and Magny capitalized. I think maybe a few too many shots taken by Malott. But there was towards the end of the round, the referee had to give him a chance to at least just make it to the judges. But Malott now dropping to 10-2-1, his first loss since World Series of Fighting in 2014. His losses don't come often. But Magny now proved the game to be the gatekeeper. So just Magny now going to 29-11. Just on the stats, significant strikes 110-100. A lot of those significant strikes obviously coming in the final exchange where the TKO happened. 1 takedown to 4 in Malott's favor. Malott. Significant strikes 57-45. Again, obviously a lot of those came in that last little exchange. So not too even on stats, but not so even on the in the actual fight. I think Malott was controlling most of it.
Yeah.
But dude, Magny is one of those veterans, gatekeeper. You've got to put him away, or be have quite a handed decision victory.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's not going to go away, and he's dangerous till the end.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. He's actually at this point such a prolific gatekeeper. He's reminding me of Donald Cerrone a lot, honestly. Like similar.
Yeah.
Genuine career.
I mean, his wins, I'm looking now, beat Robbie Lawler, lost to Chiesa, beat Jeff Neal, beat Max Griffith, lost to Shavkat, beat Daniel Rodriguez, lost to Gilbert Burns, beat Philip Rowe, lost to Ian Machado Gary, beat Matt Malott. So he's there. I mean, you've got to beat him. He's going to be that next tier to get to the top 10.
Yeah.
Which now he might even be the next tier to get to the top 5 if he can string some wins together. So we got that one wrong as well. So Magny winning by TKO. So we are 0-3. On to the next fight that we got wrong. This is like the worst week we've ever had. Raquel Pennington. I changed it last minute, but beat Mayra Bueno Silva. Raquel Pennington, I think in this one, Bueno Silva was like really, really trying to put her away early and was doing really well, but again, just ran out of gas. And then Pennington was able to come back from rounds 3, 4, and 5 and really take it. I think that's where she took it. So 49-46, 49-46, 49-45. At least the judges are on the same page here, finally. Yeah. But unanimous and pretty unanimous in the end. I mean, having tried to put her away with a lot of chokes and things like that. I remember, I think it was round 2, there was a rear naked choke when Pennington was standing and Bueno Silva was trying to put her away. She was squeezing for all her life, grimacing in her face. Like, that just completely gassed her, and she was easy pickings for Pennington.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do agree. And it does actually make me like, I'm not salty, but I think everyone complaining that this fight was very boring. I understand that it was very boring, but at the same time, I think Raquel's game plan, she had to keep it boring. I think that if she closed any distance with Bueno Silva, it would have been she could have found danger. So I think that her her game plan of getting her tired and then managing that distance was very smart and staying out of danger.
No, 100%. Just to give you, just to show you how dominant those rounds ended up being. So total strikes 265 to 96. Takedown, so that's in favor of Pennington.
Yeah.
Takedowns 1 to 3 in favor of Bueno. Silva. Submission attempts 2 to 3 in favor of Pennington. Reversals 2 to 0 in Pennington. Significant strikes 134 to 69. She did a lot of damage in those last 3 rounds, and that's where she won the fight. Possibly, I guess, 49-46 is, 49-46. I think maybe it should be 48-47 possibly. But, either way, it's unanimous decision victory for Pennington. New champion for women's bantamweight, already lined up I think got a call out from, what is her name again?
Pena.
Just that fought Nunes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pena. Yeah. Surprisingly, Hamza Chimaev never called out Raquel Pennington for a fight at UFC 300. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, he's calling out everybody from John Jones to Alex Pereira to Dricus to the 170 champ. I'm shocked that Hamza Chimaev never called out Raquel Pennington.
Yeah.
She's got a belt.
Yeah.
He calls out everybody.
Yeah. He'll probably say that you could cut down to bantamweight, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, the doctor never let me. I don't know what happens, brother. You know. So new bantamweight champion, setting up the you wanted Pena to be part of this fight in some way, whether to replace Bueno, Silva or Pennington.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pena you wanted to replace, but she's going to get her shot now. So we'll see when that happens. We got that one wrong as well, so 0-4, but it's all worth it because the main event's the only one we got right. Some people might say it should have been that we got it wrong, but Dricus du Plessis beats Sean Strickland by a split decision, 47-48, 48-47, 48-47.
Yeah.
What did you make of the fight? And what are your thoughts?
So super razor close fight. I think everyone complaining about the score afterwards, I think if it had gone, or any decision that was made would have been the same sentiment from just different people. But going into the fifth, I did think that Dricus had done enough in the second, third and fourth. I knew for certain second and fourth. I knew worst case scenario it was 2-2. But yeah, good fight. I think our boy did what he needed to.
So just before I give my thoughts, I'm just going to read out the stats. So total strikes 183 to 140 in favor of Strickland. Takedowns 6 out of 11 for Dricus, 0 for Sean Strickland, 0 submission attempts, 0 reversals. Significant strikes 173 to Strickland, 137 to Dricus. So Sean definitely had more volume, but I think for me there was more damage other than the round. I think it was round 2. There was a bit of damage at the beginning of the round.
Yeah.
On Dricus's eye, well, particularly that started in round 1, which I think Strickland won. Round 2 there was damage, but then you throw in all of the takedowns that Dricus had. And then he also came back and outstruck him for the rest of the round. So that one I gave to him as well. Yeah. I had round 3 as well to him, round 4 as well. And then but I had a 3-1 heading into round 5. But I thought that someone looking at it with different glasses, different pair of glasses, maybe exactly. I was biased, because, he's South African and we wanted him to win the title. Someone else could have had a 2-2, especially with Strickland being the champion.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say you've the classic, got to take out the champion to become champion. So I was wary that it could have been 2-2, depending on how you score it. If you don't put takedowns to have that much emphasis, then people could say Strickland. And then Strickland won that fifth round, I feel. But then when they read out the scorecards, I was not sure which way it was going to go. I knew how I scored it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how other people scored it. The problem with the takedowns, and this is another reason why I think people might have had it the other way, is yes, Dricus had the 6 takedowns, but he didn't do that much damage with them. He did more damage on the feet.
Yeah.
So it's that age-old question is like, same thing with strikes, which I always have this question about strikes and significant strikes. Did you do enough damage with them? And I feel like Strickland did all that damage in one segment of one round.
100%.
So everything you see on Dricus's face, if that fight had stopped right there, he would look exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's not like it was sustained damage round after round. So that's why I had it 3-1 heading into that 5th round.
Yeah.
But I do understand that there are people that had it probably biased the other way. Maybe we're biased towards him because he's South African. But I tried to, be as subjective as possible, and I had it 3-1. If it had gone the other way, I would have probably thought, yeah, okay, I can see how it maybe goes the other way.
100%.
I would argue that it shouldn't, but I could see, people with different, maybe an American bias, or maybe don't like Dricus, had it that way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Dricus got it done, split decision. I think, again, it's odd that the judges... No, this one's not so odd. The judges did have... it was a razor-thin decision, so the judges maybe... You scored one round the other way, and you get the 47-48.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, exactly. And I think to say robbery is just also like... it was so razor-thin, it really could have gone either way. I think... It's like robbery. It's a bit ridiculous, honestly. I believe. I don't know how else to say.
The term is used way too loosely these days. Robbery.
Yeah, exactly.
Far too loosely. It's kind of like people use the overrated term as well far too easily. I mean, when Strickland beat Izzy, people were saying it's time to have that conversation. He was never that good. It's like, guys, it's one loss.
Yeah.
Okay, it just so happens that he's like 3-3 in his, or 4-3 in his last 7 or something, but it's one loss, and the other loss was to the current light heavyweight champion. The other one was at light heavyweight. So people use that far too loosely. People use the greatest of all time far too loosely as well. If somebody, again, stats, like the thing that annoys me is people would look at significant strikes, takedowns, total number of victories. It's like everything is not created equal. Okay, you might have the most number of victories, but did you beat the same caliber of people as somebody else? Does that make you the GOAT then because you have just because your numbers are higher? Did you have, okay, you've got more total strikes, but did you do more with them? Okay, you've got more takedowns, did you do more with them? So there's a lot of things that people just use stats to try to stat pad stuff, and it's getting a little bit annoying rather than just watching the fight, knowing the judges don't have the significant strike tally. They don't have it there. They might keep a count in their head, but they've got to look and be like, okay, first of all, number one rule of judging, who's doing the most effective grappling and striking.
Yeah.
And I feel like, other than that small little bit in round 1, Sean did, but round 2, that bit where his eye got busted up, was a couple of minutes, maybe a minute and a half, but then the remaining 3.5, he controlled. Round 3, round 4 controlled.
Yeah.
Round 5, Strickland. Fair decision, I think. It should have been 48-47 across the board. However, because there's so much debate about it, because it is a split decision, because so many people feel Sean Strickland won, including Dana White, I think they should just run it back. So there could be no question about who deserves it. So if Dricus puts him away completely, no question. If Strickland ends up winning, then you set up a third fight. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Dana has said it's not going to happen already, even though he said Strickland won, which is odd. I think the next fight is Dricus, Izzy, UFC, Africa, probably in September. I don't know. Depends on the timelines. But if it is in September, then there's, 8 months for them to sort it out. Izzy's just started training. I think that's the most likely outcome. I don't think UFC 300. I think it's too short a turnaround. I think Dricus' foot is injured as well. So, from pictures I saw.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's what I think. What do you think's happening next? Do you think they should run it back?
I do. I would really like that. To me, the ideal situation and like the dream case is Izzy versus Dricus. I think Dricus gets it done, and Sean versus Khamzat. I think Sean gets it done. And then do your rematch. I think that's to me that's the smartest thing to do, and I think that the fans would really like that outcome as well. or that
Do you
match.
think Izzy deserves an immediate title shot though? Because he lost to Strickland last time. So should he not fight Strickland again, or because
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like what you're saying. I think that is maybe what's going to happen. I don't think Khamzat's ready. Khamzat needs to. I think Khamzat's jumping the queue by fighting Strickland in any event, but uh, I don't think Izzy. I don't know. Does Izzy deserve a title shot having come off a loss?
Um, maybe not, but my justification would be that he has the one of the most impressive title reigns at middleweight, which is probably what the UFC would use to justify. Whether that's a good justification, I'm not sure of. Maybe it's not.
Mm.
Maybe Cannonier would be better. But yeah, just in terms of like the history that Dricus and Izzy have, that to me would be an exciting fight. Just mainly for that.
Mm. Do you think it happens at UFC Africa? Do you think they try to go UFC 300?
I think UFC Africa. I don't think UFC 300. I also think that it's too quick a turnaround. I'm not sure if.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, not only for the fighters, but I think to book and possibly build a venue, it's just not enough time.
What for UFC 300?
Yeah, because I mean, us as South Africans, there's not too many places that I can think of will necessarily work. I'm sure they can. They can.
What are you talking about? UFC 100 or UFC Africa?
UFC.
300.
If they wanted to do UFC Africa on UFC 300, if they wanted to change the venue.
Oh no, they'll never do that.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
they'll never do that. No, UFC 300 will be in Vegas. No,
yeah. Oh, okay. So
no. I think it'll be either or.
I'm saying like always do that fight in Africa, whether it's 300 or not. I think you have to do that fight in Africa.
Yeah, I agree. I think they should. I don't know. I don't know what's happening with Khamzat. Ramadan is around the corner. I don't know when and where he can travel. That's another thing with him. He's got no issues traveling to South Africa. There's no ban on that. And it's Ramadan soon. I would like to see Dricus Izzy in the main event, and then Khamzat and Kamaru fight each other again in the second from top. I'm actually building a card. I'm actually building a UFC card. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm building a UFC card that I'll drop a video on. But those will be two. I think those are two sure-in fights. And then you put Kamaru Usman in the mix if he beats Khamzat. I just don't know if Khamzat wants that fight though, because I think he knows deep down
Yeah,
Kamaru having now felt what it feel, what Khamzat's like. He said he gave him too much respect. But yeah, I don't know. I just to your point earlier, I do think if you'd asked me before this fight, if Strickland and Khamzat fought, who would win? I would say Khamzat. But having seen how Strickland was able to not take damage on the ground, and then also get up, and then later on start sprawling the takedowns, I was very impressed by Strickland. I did not expect him to be able to fend off takedowns, let alone get up once he was on the bottom. I thought Dricus would be able to have his way with him. Oddly as well, like Dricus's game plan was to stand with Strickland, which I thought might have been an early game plan. But in the end, I guess they wanted to prove that they were good at boxing and good at stand-up, where they could hang with the best boxer in the UFC.
yeah. It almost paid dividends, but like in the ultimate context of the fight, it wasn't smart. It wasn't a smart decision. Maybe I can see them making that call if they have absolute confidence that they're going to finish Sean before the end of the fight. But how it played out, he could have done that a lot smarter. Especially the damage that he absorbed in the first round. If he could have not absorbed that damage, then I don't think there would be half as many critics. Like, I think that's to me where the argument really comes from.
Yeah, definitely not the game plan to have against Izzy. I think Izzy's too. Izzy wants people to go forward and then wants to counter strike. I would advise against it, but they've been strategizing correctly so far, and it's paid dividends. We now have a South African flag coming to the UFC title, and again, congratulations to Team CRT, to Coach Mornay, Coach Neil, Dricus, your whole team. Congratulations, the first ever. That still will never go away. The first ever UFC champion in the history of this country, the organization. Massive moment. Not a robbery, in my opinion. I think well deserved, and It just opens up so many different possibilities at middleweight. Now, Izzy, there's Brendan Allen coming up, Cannonier, Chuck Hamzat in there, Chuck Strickland rematch. It's probably the most exciting division in the UFC, and I just can't wait for all of the possible fights. And whoever they put in, I want it to be Izzy, but whoever they put in, UFC 300, I cannot. Not UFC 300, UFC Africa.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm more psyched for UFC Africa than I am for UFC 300.
Yeah, I mean, the next couple cards, or just the cards that they've announced this year alone, like looking stacked. I think UFC 299s also might be better than 300, depending on the main event.
Yeah, the true UFC 300.
Yeah.
The fans UFC 300.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, overall, what are we giving this card out of 10?
10.
10. Yeah, we got to give it 10, bro. I don't care how. Listen, I was like in the kitchen. I was like not watching a lot of the bits of the other fights, but I think we have to give it a 10 out of 10. This card, first ever South African champion in the UFC. Got there by 1 point. That's what South Africans do, it seems like, for world titles, getting there by 1 point. And yeah, 100% giving it 10 out of 10 as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that about wraps up this week's show. Tune in next week. We're going to be going over the UFC Fight Night. Let us know what you guys think. Was it a robbery? Was it a fair result? Who do you think Dricus du Plessis should face next? And like the video, please comment, subscribe, share it far and wide, and let us know what else you'd like us to talk about. Until next week, I'm Vern. He's Jack. We'll be back. See you guys then. Cheers.